Hello, it's me, Fireflag, also known as Alex in real life. Today I wanted to show you my tune,
He built this house.
kind of a walkthrough video for YouTube. Let's begin. First, let's begin with the vocals. These are the raw vocals.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn. The name has been in the family for a century.
Laurelyn. And the strangest part of it all is, it seems that we were once very close to each other. Very close.
So these were the main idea, the main hook. And I actually got these from this site, Radio Garden. And I tried to find something good. I just recorded a bunch and found something really cool there, like
He built this house.
Look, Angel, I'm in this too deep to get soft. Now, like the man says, they can only hang you once.
What's this
Come on, baby, make it easy on you.
they just play like random horror stories from back then. It's pretty cool. It's in London. So the whole tune evolves around this vocal. I put it to the side and I started to find a good kick, basically. Found this kick. Yeah, I used it like this. I maybe made like a little volume fade on it to make it shorter. And I found a good snare. I used a volume fade out on this as well. But also I left it like this, no pitching. And from there I went straight to a bass. So it's this on its own. This was made in Vital, actually. I just used the initial wave, very low, as a fundamental, put a noise on top, and put both levels through the same oscillator, like this one here. Yeah, like this. It just re-triggers 1/8. The oscillator 1 also goes through a filter with just nothing, I guess. It's just getting rid of the tops. This was everything, basically. It's just a basic. I put it through a chorus, basically just for the tops. Just don't touch the low fundamentals. Then I distorted it with a soft clip. I can show what it does to the sound. Like this. I just used a mini mix of the multi-band compression and pushed down a bit of the noise, and that's it. That's the patch. Additional stuff was making it bass mono. So I make really sure that the bass, like the sub, is in mono. And then I split the signal. I made a sub signal. I compressed it a bit, just catching the transients a bit. And I split it into two, like this. And this is basically the same, just a bit of wider stereo. The equalizer does exactly the other part. So I had a bit more control. Also dynamics on here and imager. It gives it the final depth, like a bit more stereo field to it. And this one is an automation. So it's basically this. The bass is basically this. And then I mix the kick and snare to it. I wasn't happy with the outcome, so I changed a bit of stuff in the equalizing. Oh, this is just an automation that comes in later. I made sure it's mono, and I equalized the kick a bit. I did most of these tweaks because the other stuff was overlapping. I showed it later. Also a bit of compressing on this one. Quite heavy. EQ8 as an automation. Yeah, that's it for the kick, and I did the same for the snare. I basically tidied up a bit of the snare. Put it mono. It's also a measurement I did because of the whole mix. It sounds weird on its own, but you will get it later. Also compressing. And a bit of reverb. I also explain why I compressed the kick and the snare. I show you how it looks like without the compression, basically. So that's how it looks without or how it sounds without compression. And when I had this pushed up to the limiter, I had the feeling that they were a bit too peaky, so I controlled them a bit. Or maybe the snare wasn't peaky enough. I'm not sure exactly what I did there. Let me see. it made sense in the whole mix, like later. And I had this, and I played the vocal over this, and it made sense, like this.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelin. The name has been in the family for a century.
I warped a bit, but it fit right away, so I didn't have to warp much. Same with the other vocals. But I left them out the drop. So I added more drum stuff then. Yeah, next was the low drum loop to fill it up a bit. And on here, I have basically all the same stuff again. Just utility to make it mono. Equalizing. I took away a bit of the lows and the highs there. And there's a snare in there, so that layers with our snare. I cut it the same way as my drums, the same movement. Then I compressed it so that the snare isn't peaking too heavy. So combine my two snares. And then I enhanced the stereo field a bit. Here's the sidechain. I will explain this later. And this is the automation. I explain the sidechain in a bit. That's how it sounded. Then I added rides on top. But they were the right tone, but too aggressive. Same stuff, but different approach, obviously. I think this one is an automation. This one is the equalizer. I was talking about. It changes the sound a bit. It basically mask with my other drum loop. Then again, compressing, but only the tops, I guess. What does it do? Oh, it pushes it down in the transient and then gain it up again. Yeah, then a stereo imager, same credit, inside chain again later. Then I added some more stuff. A shuffle loop, basically. It's just a loop thing. It comes in, it goes out. But that was also too bright in the mix. I decided to push down a bit of the highs, I guess. On mid highs, yeah. Here. So I put most of my drums to mono because I want to have it spread by myself. Sometimes stuff has a nice natural stereo, so I keep it, but in most occasions I rather spread it myself. I added another head where the shuffle is not playing. But I also had to control this. Like, obviously, when I made the drum, I had everything raw and put it together, but it didn't really fit in the end, so I had to change stuff. Yeah, I equalized a lot here. Made it fit, basically, without. Way better. Next up, it's just a chorus. It's just there to spread it in the stereo field a bit. It doesn't do much. And I also added a bump on the second bar here. And this one just set to mono and slightly equalized. Yeah. Just rolled off a bit in the highs and lows. No control any further. And then I added on the end a fill that I think is really cool for this tune. It worked really good. I just cut up a loop and chopped it to my likeness, pitched up, pitched down, and put equalizing on it, but not much, I guess, because it just had to fit with the other drum loop. Oh, it's a bit, I think because there's a kick low. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a bit too clashy, and I also controlled it with dynamic, also dynamics here. But only if it's like really high peaking. Sometimes it changes its pitch and then it's differently. Yeah, that's it for the drums. So the full drums alone would be this. That's without sidechain, of course, and without the drum bus processing, but that's what I had here. Basically, the drums and the bass. And this alone made it the tune, but I filled it up a bit more. I added another bass. Like, it's more in the middle, I guess. On its own, it's like this. It's like a squeaky LFO noise. Also made with Vital. Just another easy sound. It's two different LFOs controlling the filter. One is 1 to 2 and one is 1 to 8 triplet, or dotted. And I put a chorus, distortion, and reverb on it. Just easy stuff. Like the size is like not touched. time, like, oops, was something like 2000. Yeah, I can't do undo in this one. We have to live with this now. But yeah, it's nothing big. It's like 10 voices, spread it. One is deeper, one is 1 octave higher up. The phase is untouched, so it's always random. That's it, basically. And then I did a bit of post-processing as well. I didn't put it to mono, I just base monoed it, spread it a bit more, and equalized it. I just wanted it to be like a really smooth sound. Same with the other sound I added. I also equalized that like this. Put it to mono. This one is a self-made preset with a sample of a friend and a normal saw wave. Also very similar stuff. The LFO this time is only 1 to 2. This is with the equalizing. This is without. I liked it more this way because I also already had like highs in the bass. So I added this, and then the bass was like this. I added this one as like an answer. It's just a normal triangle wave, or is it a square wave? Seems like a mix of it. Put through a filter. And put through a few effects, like chorus and flanger and the phaser. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I think the pitch comes from the voices 1 and glide. So I basically played the pitch in the piano roll. Yeah, seems like that. Then I put utility on it, made it louder, put some overdrive on it. And equalizing. Tamed a bit of the sub. Compressing. And then the bass was finished. Basically, with the drums together, I was like, okay, this is a drop. But I wasn't completely happy with the drums. And also with the basses, I guess. On the basses, there's only an automation and sidechain. Yeah, I was happy with the basses, but with the drums, I wasn't. There is a there's a Pro Cue on there that basically shaves it up a bit and controls it a bit. I show what I mean. Without it, it makes it a bit brighter. This one I put there to control a bit of the peaks. I show you how the drum is looking. So it basically just catches the peak of the kick and snare and pushed it down a bit and then pushed it up by 0.6. So I didn't really change the volume overall, just pressed it together a bit. For the drums, I think I spread the stereo field here a bit and made sure everything was in mono again. And then there's an automation and another automation. They're both coming in later. So that's it for the drums. And then I came around masking with kick and bass, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's do the sidechain part. So I basically switched everything off except kick and snare. And my main bass is like this. And then I put down these two. What I do basically here is to the kick main and to the snare, obviously. I put the attack really short and here as well. I don't always do this, but for this it worked. Also the releases are pretty short. I found the right value for it. I can show you how I did it. What I basically did was bringing it all a bit together by ducking the bass to the kick just a bit. It's not really EDM kind of ducking. It just lets it breathe a bit more. And I did the same with the snare. Found the right value and stuff. I basically did the same. I just copied this one then and tweaked maybe a tiny amount onto other stuff like the loop or the rides. I did it on there as well, like here. So my main kick and snare could breathe a bit more. I didn't overdo it on the snare, obviously. Same with the rides. I did that on the fill as well because there's a kick there. I wanted it to fit together better. Yeah, it's just slightly different. But I found out that this works better in general for this track. Like everything with a overlapping tendency to get sidechained. As well, I did that for the whole group, basically, so everything is stuck the same way. Oh, I think I did this extra. I did this 2 times. Like I sidechained it again. Yeah, must be that it was needed. Anything else? No, that was that to the drop, and then I just played around with the drop and made a bit of changes here in the V section, changed up the bass and stuff. And when I had my like 2 sections, I was like kind of sure, okay, I roll out then without the high bass and go low bass only, and then into the breakdown. That was basically in my head from the beginning. Then I added some vocals, and from there I went, okay, maybe I can make the vocals better and maybe add some more. So I put some stuff on this vocal then. Utility, of course. A bit of erosion. I'm not sure why I did this. I guess there wasn't enough high end in this sample to begin with.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn. The name has been in the family for a century. He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn. The name has been in the family for a century.
Yeah, I just cut away a bit of the boomy low end. Then I compressed it.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn. The name has been in the family for a century.
Another equalizer.
And the strangest part of it all is, it seems that we were once very close to each other. Very close.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn.
A bit of reverb to give it a bit more room, and an automation. That's it, basically. I added it to the groove.
He built this house. His daughter was named Laurelyn. The name has been in the family for a century.
And the strangest part of it all is, it seems that we were once very close to each other. Very close.
Yeah. That's how that came about, and then I just used single cut from the vocal that I liked in certain places. I just fiddled around with the sample, basically. I think there is nothing much else going on here. It's the same. There is a sidechain on there as well before the reverb, but nothing else like different here. That's that to the vocals, and then I needed an intro. And I added this. This is just a raw pad sample. I can play it raw. Let's see. So yeah, it had the right key, and what I'm talking about, like I built this whole track in C, and I did pitch everything accordingly to that, most of the stuff, or like in the scale of C minor, I guess. Let's see. Let's see. Oh no, it's all on. Oh no, there is something. Wait, let's see. Yeah, it's major. So everything is tuned to that accordingly. So I then added stuff to the pad, made it bass mono this time. Or did I not? No, I just used the right channel of it, I guess. Do that sometimes. Just use one channel. I equalized it. Just got rid of higher these, and then spread the stereo field a lot. And I added another horror element on top. I think it's just a reversed hit something. Yeah, it's a reverse piano. And I just added a mono equalizing. Yeah, there was a nasty spike. I equalized out and pushed up the high mids. Then added a delay, ping pong delay on it. That's basically the intro I show you.
He built this house.
I basically just cut up a bit of stuff, made a few changes here and there. Yeah, that's basically every element of the tune, I guess. Yeah, I run through everything. So how I build tunes is most of the time I concentrate on 16 bars and then loop that or make B section with the bass or the drums. I sometimes also do longer drops, but never shorter than 3 times 16, I guess. I did 3 times 16 on the second drop, just with no outro. I also did a longer middle breakdown than I usually do. I usually do shorter ones, but for this track it fit. I also filtered the bass in and stuff like this. Like the automations you can hear in the tune itself, it all makes sense. It's just gaining and filtering with EQ8, just a normal filter curve. It's nothing out of this world, just easy stuff. What I also mention is that I automate the gain of my drums in the intro and the breakdown, I make it quieter. I make the drums quieter a bit. Some people tend to do this on all their elements, but I don't like that. So I do it on the drums. So that's it to this tune, I guess. There's some more I have to mention about the mastering chain, and obviously this is all already mixed down. That's why it's like sounding good now. Like, yeah, it's already all leveled. But when it's not leveled, it has to still sound good in some way. I then leveled it to my account, like to the nicest mixdown I could imagine. The thing is, this is basically version 4, I guess. And in the end, after a lot of tweaking, I got back to version 1, to the mixdown of version 1, tweaked a bit of stuff, made it louder, and then that was it. So sometimes overthinking is not the right thing. Just if it sounds good, it sounds good. So I then looked at the drop in full, after mixdown, of course. Everything has its place and order, and everything was equalized accordingly, so nothing is masking too heavy. So if you look at the master output, I still had room. I can still do stuff on this. I didn't work with limiter. Sometimes I work with a limiter on the master all time, but in this occasion I didn't. I think it was a night production or something like this. So I then began to get a bit of like mastering-ish. I added a dynamic tube with the C option, but just a tiny amount. It's like a saturation, tube saturation, tube compression. It adds a bit of harmonic in this mode, I found out. Yeah, I did that on the whole master thing, and then equalized some more. And I always like do this on the drop and on the single parts. I just loop them and then find these spots.
He built this house. His daughter was named Lala. His daughter. His daughter. His.
Okay, obviously here at this point I wasn't happy with the brightness of the tune, so I pushed up the highs quite a lot and again equalized out a bit of peaks, but this is not too big of a deal, I guess. I remember having to do this because it was like a bit spiky in the ear, and also pushed down low frequency, because when I cut it made the whole thing a bit sharper. It cut the transient weird. Obviously, I changed the loudness with this a bit. I then proceeded to control it all together, like the whole master bus, with a bit of like compression. It's not parallel compression or so. It's just a full-on compression for the drums, I guess. Oh yeah, for the spikes that are coming out. Pushed up a bit again, but always looked on the master output again to not really clip inside the thing of things. Then I spreaded the whole stereo field a bit more. Oh, it seems that I still have had headroom and just pushed up the volume just a bit more and then saturated as well. I crunched it a bit at this point. This also added harmonics on top. I like that. And then I didn't clip this. I just went straight into limiter. Like usually I use free clip for this situation, but I use this limiter then. And it's like classic ceiling of 0.1. And I pushed the threshold accordingly to that. I wanted to reach, I think, -5. Yeah. Also, not too fast character, so it's not reacting too fast. Leaves a bit transient. And then I think add another maximizer, yeah, to give it a bit more push. This one is on modern and has a bigger ceiling, like a lower ceiling, 0.2, and a faster character. It's a bit of the pumpy kind. Yeah, this one makes it really like loud. And I also watched at my equalizer, master equalizer, while I produced. That's what my readout is. That's what my readout is. So at a certain volume, you can't really tell everything apart. So I mix by ear most of the time. But I also make sure that's nothing too big poking out level-wise. I also look at the volume faders and level faders. This is my stereo master. I just look at it and look if it's enough. And in the end, I check how much LUFS I reach. I didn't really had like a target here. I just mixed it till it's like loud enough, I guess. I think I had one version quieter and one version louder than this, and I just found out that this was the right amount for my ear. Like, I don't care if it's like over 2 peak max or so. It sounded okay. Yeah, there is no real target when I make music, for real. Like, I just make music.
Harry Potter.
I think some tunes can vary from loudness and dynamic range, and I did this for like no purpose in mind, for fun, and turned out to be a good tune. So I hope you understood everything. I hope I explained everything kind of okay. Yeah, I didn't forget anything. I think that was a complete walkthrough of the tune. I hope this helped a bit, and gives you a bit of like insight how I work. This is only an example how I work. I can do another video in the future where I make a track from start to finish. I guess this is the outro then. I say goodbye. Yeah, see you next time then. I say bye-bye.